Red Panda Anthem.
Ian, what's up?
Red Panda Anthem.
Red Panda, what's good?
Red Panda Anthem.
So can we get a couple questions before you guys leave?
Sure.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Robert Washington. You know how this works. No fridge breaks. I'm coming to you. Unmute yourself. You've been unmuted. What's going on?
Well, here he goes.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes. I hear you.
What's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on? I just wanted to say, huge fan of you guys. I've been listening to you guys since February 2019. So I just want to say I appreciate everything you guys do.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So my question is, with NFT being a breakthrough technology in the future, do you think NFTs will eventually replace like real estate agents and just be a big disruption in the real estate space?
Any of us can answer?
What's your guys' thoughts on that?
Definitely. I think it's gonna, realistically, right? It's gonna probably get rid of title companies, attorneys, that part of it. You're probably still gonna need a real estate agent, to be honest with you, because you're always gonna need somebody to market the property. But it's definitely gonna get rid of a lot of it. Realistically, we're not to get too specific, but you know how it really works, right? When it comes to selling real estate on the blockchain, is where I have an LLC, then I'll sell that LLC to you in the blockchain. That's really the process. It's not really, it's something that it's been done in the real world, but now you do it in that world. It's pretty much selling an LLC to somebody else. And that's how you do it so quickly. But definitely less title companies, less attorneys. There's definitely going to be less fees, less transfer fees. So it definitely is the future. But it depends if it's going to be an actual NFT or, you know, is it just going to be on the blockchain, the transaction? It all depends. You could do it in different ways. But, you know, again, right now, NFT is kind of a dirty word, right? When you think about it, nobody wants to say the word NFT, but it definitely is the future of real estate.
Appreciate you. Let's go to Brandon. We coming to you. Unmute yourself. You've been unmuted. You know how this works. No fridge breaks. We don't got time for that.
How y'all doing, fellas?
Everything good. How you, man?
I can't complain. So I'm on the young side, but one thing I do appreciate y'all always talking about being family oriented. So my question for you guys is, how has investing in stocks or real estate taught you how to be like a better father, brother, friend, etc.?
What's the question of the year?
Yeah.
Who wants to start? I'll start. How about you want to go?
No, you go first.
Yeah. How's it made it? I've become super intentional. When you know that you're doing something that is outside of yourself and it's not for you, you become more intentional, more focused on the investment in itself. So when I have my custodial accounts, when I open them up for my kids, I'm not taking the same type of chance or the same type of investment that I would for my own account, right? Like I'm going to make sure that they have secure companies that I know are going to be here 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line. And so I'm very intentional about that. And the money, obviously, I have to make myself more disciplined because it's like, all right, well, I know this needs to go in my custodial account every month. I got 2 kids and they both have their own custodial account. So discipline, number 1, and then being super intentional, number 2 for me.
I think the same with, like he said, there's some investments that are very cautious and there's some that I'll play with. That's dead honest. But, you know, for me, I'm a real estate guy. You know what I mean? So with every time I have a kid that's born or I have something that's significant in their life, I try to buy them a piece of property. And I always tell myself, if something went wrong or shit hits the fan, they have so much equity of that house that they can always pull that money. My biggest fear and something that you said before, Ian, when it comes to myself, I'm always nervous something will happen to me and my family won't be okay. Yeah. That is my biggest
number one fear for any man.
I don't know why, but that's what it is. You know what I mean? And I always want to make sure they are good. So I try to set it up so that no matter what happens, whether it's life insurance, whether it's properties, whether it's businesses, whether it's things that they can flip from tangible things, from watches to things that will make money, I try to set them up so they will be always good. Like that is my biggest fear, like ever. That's when I have anxiety. When that plane starts going crazy on the plane, I'm like, oh God. You know what I mean? Like, you know, me and my wife went on vacation. We usually don't go on vacation. We usually take everybody else. We went on vacation and the plane, was going to a small private island, and it was a small plane, and the plane was shaking like it was Harlem shaking. On that plane, we were so low. I texted my daughter, and I was like, "Look, the jewelry is here, the money's here." I was like, "This person owes me this much money," and I'm telling her everything. I'm like, "Go to Season when it comes to real estate. Take my cars here. Go to like I put everything there because I was that fearful." But that's what it is when it comes to my family.
For me, I became way more, as Troy said, intentional and hardworking once I had Xander. And there is a direct correlation between the love that you have for your child and the investments that you select. Before, if I would gamble, all that now goes away. I want safe investments that are going to give me a good return because, as everyone else has said, it's not about me. It's not about me being flashy. I mean, yesterday, Xander was on asking for a Ferrari that was $2.9 million. I'm like, baby, how you going to pay for it? But it was interesting how he began to develop a thesis around how he could pay for it, put it on YouTube, bring it on Market Mondays. I was like, okay, and going back to what Envy said, like when you teach your kids, the biggest mistake that I think we made as a community is like we would put our kids in basketball camp and football camp at 5, 6, 7, and then wait till they're 25 to teach them about money. So when you love your children dearly, man, you're going to pick the safest investments on earth. I truly believe that when people are gambling, it's a self-destructive mechanism there, or self-sabotaging mechanism, because most people, like if you bought Doge and you held it for a year and a half, you really didn't want to get rich. You wanted to get rich enough to say that you were rich and then not have the responsibility that comes with it. So for me, after I had Xander, I worked hell of a lot harder, was a lot safer in the investments that I picked, and put 80% of my money back into the business.
But I think what you said too is explaining to your kids. Yeah. When I was a kid, my parents didn't explain nothing to me. Like you said, they put me in basketball camp at 5 and 6 and baseball camp and this, that, and the other, taught me how to swim, and that was it. But for me and my kids, I have a different relationship because I want them to understand what the value is. So like I love cars, and my 8-year-old loves cars, and there's so many cars that come in and out my house. Reason being is I'll buy a Ferrari. Let's say it's $270,000. Anybody that's in the market for Ferrari knows that if you want to buy a Ferrari right now, either it's a 3-year waiting list or it's going up $100,000. You're going to pay $100,000 over. So when my son says, "Dad, why are you getting rid of this Ferrari?" I show him basic numbers. Oh, that Ferrari is $277. Right now it's worth $377. That's $100,000 profit that we're going to make. So we have to let this go. And we'll order another Ferrari. We'll be patient. We'll wait because there's somebody that's rich that is not patient that wants their car right now. We're going to stick them up. Stick them up. Here, you can have it. Now we have $100,000 to invest in some other things that's just shit money.
Go ahead, 9 properties in Milwaukee, south side of Chicago.
There you go.
That's it. I like to touch my investments, right? In the last 15 years, just by me, my core principles, buying under market value, I've never lost not $1, right? Again, I'm not a stock guy, right? So
it's the same game, though. I love that you're going there. Go ahead.
Right? So the only loss that I've taken in the last 15 years was I listened to all of my friends, right? I didn't go to a professional like Ian or other people in that field and ask their opinion. I listened to somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, and I invested in Dogecoin. I invested $1,000. I was going to do 15,000. And then this is before Elon Musk went on Saturday Night Live. That Friday, I did 1,000, and I did it for Robinhood. I was going to do 15, but since it was a new account, they didn't let me do the whole 15. Thank God. Because I was sick that I lost 1,000 by Monday for months.
But that's paying retail. Same thing. Yeah. Like if a house is worth 300, people are paying 320. Even in Houston, they're paying 360 for their first property. It's a huge mistake. Please write in chat. I will not get robbed by paying retail.
So now, when it comes to the market, what I do is I only invest in startups. I like startups. I invested in SpaceX, killed it.
Nice.
That's one of my, that's one of my favorite investments right now.
How'd you invest in SpaceX?
One of my friends actually got me into it. Like, I taught him about real estate, right? So I helped him get a whole bunch of properties. He's like, "When are you gonna trust me and invest for me?" And I was like, "Oh, nah." I'm like,
he's in private equity.
Yeah. So my friend Adam,
Georgia, owe you a call. Yeah.
And he's like, "Yo, you gotta do this, you gotta do that." And I was like, "Nah, man, I'm not gonna do that." And I'm gonna be honest with you. I listened to him, right? I trusted him because he knows what he's been doing. He's been doing it for years, right? Because sometimes that's the one thing about success, right? You're always going to meet somebody that's better at something than you are, right?
Yeah.
So you always have to listen to everybody and give everybody a chance. So I listened to him. I invested about So far with him about 600,000. In less than a year, I'm up to like 1.9 between the 4 investments that I did with him.
Well, how did you know you were buying at the right price? Because everyone I meet in real estate is like, I don't know stocks. Or stocks, they're like, I don't know real estate. To me, like the Dow 30 is like comps for a neighborhood. How did you know you was buying in at the right price outside of having trust?
He breaks it down very easily for me. He'll tell me, all right, you're coming in and you're paying 200, 300 a share, or you're paying $40 a share. And then it's probably like, for example, I did a cyber company with him. I think it's called Titanium or something like that. I'm bad with, I got so much stuff in my head. So that was the first investment I did with him. He said, hey, you could buy some shares right now. I did 100,000. I got him at $20 a share. And now it's up almost to about $90 a share.
What you get in on SpaceX per share?
Oh, bro. I came in at 200 when I did it. Then it went up. I think it was up like around 600, and then it split 10 times, right? So one became 10. So now I have almost, what was it? I invested a total of 400. I got a thousand.
He made a killing. You call Andy and tell him too?
Don't get too upset if you missed it. There will be more.
Yeah.
Every deal that he brings to my table, I'll be like, nah, B. And then when he wins, he'd be like, I told you, just put him. It bees like that sometimes, but you know.
I have a friend of mine, right? He's never told me the story, and you know him, but I don't want to say his name. Mm. And he was actually one of the first guys that invested in Tesla, right? And he walked away. So he invested like $100,000 and went up. And then he walked away when that thing was like 800,000 or something like that. He made out his money. He opened up another business, which was
on a private equity side.
Yeah. So he was successful in the business that he opened. But if he would have left the money there, you know how much money he would have had right now?
Easy, 11 million.
The business that he has. In the business that he has, he makes like $1 million a year. And he's never going to make what he could have made by not waiting. And he had the money to actually wait. That's the one thing. Like all my investments with the startups, I put the money there. I even forget that I have them. And I just let it go.
How long do you guys hold? Because I'll tell everyone you got to hold minimum 5 to 10 years. You got to see the comments sometimes. They don't want to hold. How long are you holding these investments in these real estate properties?
My real estate properties, they're generating income. That's forever. I'm never selling them. Rental properties, I'm never selling. As far as my investments right now, like that I have, 10 years, 5 to 10 years. Unless my advisor tells me, hey, this is
get out now.
Let's go now.
Yeah, this is a quick one. Get out. Something's gonna happen. Okay, then I listen to him. But if not, I plan 5 to 10 years. I don't, the money's staying there. Real estate is forever. Is gonna be in my family forever. I have a trust. I have everything in writing. My daughter already knows she's never gonna sell anything. We make enough money that for generations that we don't have to, and it's gonna keep on going up in value. So my real estate portfolio is forever. I do flips. Those I get rid of. But anything that's 6 units and up is going to stay in my family forever.
Jeez, when did that SpaceX investment start? Because I mean, last year it's not a publicly traded company, obviously yet. Last year it was valued at $100 billion. This year, I think in May they had a valuation of $125 billion. But the rumor is that this is going to be the biggest IPO in the history of the market. So, I mean, what year did you get that investment ago?
I think I've been in it now, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah,
maybe
about 2 years. More.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about
right in the beginning of the pandemic because we was in the office.
Yeah, it was like around there. Like right now, I'm so excited when they were talking about, not to say that it's exciting, but everything that he's doing and helping people in Ukraine with the satellites and everything. Everything that he's doing, this guy's a genius, So I think he's like pretty much the Walt Disney of this generation.
Basically, he is a preferred. Go ahead.
It's all about exposure too, because it's like it's all about who you know in life. And Dave Gross, you know him? You know Dave Gross?
No.
He's a real estate developer. He was Nipsey Hussle's. He's like the guy that got Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a good friend of ours. So when we was in LA, we was at a Clippers game, and we met one of his friends who actually runs a hedge fund. And I was talking to him, and he's telling me about the hedge fund, and it was like the strategy that he uses. He invests in like all these like companies like SpaceX, things of that nature. So I'm like, how are you getting into SpaceX? And he was like, well, there's all of these startup companies, they give employees shares. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times the employees might need money. So now you have somebody on the inside that's like, all right, you got 1,000 shares of SpaceX. I mean, it's like paper money until you actually realize it, right? But if you got a mortgage, you got to send your kid to college, and it's like, all right, I'll give you $500,000 right now for your 1,000 shares of SpaceX. You know, people
that's
like,
a 50 right in water.
Yeah,
I need the money.
That's a brilliant strategy.
Right.
I know a lot of guys that do that. That's super smart. It's true.
Yeah,
that's a good strategy.
Yeah, but once again, it's the exposure, like who you're around, and the opportunities that you have available to you. And it's it's crazy, like, looking from the other side of it. Come from working in class environments, you think that life is one way, and then you realize that everything that you thought about life is wrong, and is getting played on a whole different level, and you're just not privy to the information.
So it's a rethinking process. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And shout out to you for executing, right? Like, you didn't have to do it, but you saw it was an opportunity to have a sound investment, and you executed. That's a grand slam.
Yeah. And what people understand too, that they're so lucky right now that you have platforms like EYL. You have all this information out there, from Start to Flip seminars, Flip to Dow. Like, we're actually giving you information so you could be successful, because us growing up, nobody taught us any of this stuff. Nobody in my house had a home. I think I had one aunt that had, she owned the house. Nobody owned the house. They never taught me about that. Like, do you think that 15 years ago, I would have thought that I could buy a $58 million building? I mean, a portfolio that's worth 80 million and not come up with any money? Nobody taught me that, right? Nobody taught me that I could buy property under market value. Nobody taught me about that. Nobody taught me about startups or, all these different things out there. Nobody taught me how to flip cars like Envy does. So people are so lucky for platforms like you guys, and that we all sharing the information. But the biggest thing in all of this is you got to execute. As long as you execute, then you're going to make money.
This that Red Panda Anthem.
Ian, what's up?
This that Red Panda Anthem.
Red Panda, what's
This
good?
that Red Panda Anthem. Your boy going up. I know they can't stand it.